Schooling your ass. What up? ℍ𝕼𝕂. My brothers, my sisters. How are you guys? Good to see y'all. What up, what up? It's that man, Thothschild. Live and direct. For real. We used to say that on recordings back in the day. Live and direct. You'd be like, motherfucker, you ain't live. You ain't even direct. Now, I legitimately am live and direct. How you doing, guys? Got some of the usual criminals up in here. I haven't been with you guys in a hot minute. After we were suffering the slings and arrows that we all do in my little family, I kind of had to back up, get some things, in order in my life and just take stock, take a breather. So let me see. Let me make sure we're all set up here. Sounds good. Sounds good. That's good. How about see? You see them. You see them. You hear them. You smell them. You taste them? How you like? Aren't they pretty? So this is the fruit of some of my labors. This summer, I grow all these motherfuckers right here. Most of them are natives to my geography. This here is this is called Joe Pie. And, before the crackers hit the shore in the 1500s, this stuff was pretty ubiquitous on the shores of North America. This stuff was. It's beautiful. And it does bear some similarity to the milkweed. Interesting thing about these species is it just so happens that these modern, let's just say it, modern American corporate pesticides and herbicides wipe this shit out. Imagine how beautiful temperate deciduous forest would be if you looked out in it, and instead of seeing 8 or 10 invasive species that aren't supposed to be here, you saw a bunch of this. Beautiful stuff. So, yeah, I'm outside. I don't have the kids, which is kind of rare for me on a Sunday. So I'm outside doing some of my homesteading, and I'm sweating my nuts off. And I can't help it. I always put my ass right up against it. I look at my phone and I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm supposed to be streaming in like 15 minutes. So I run up in here and I proceed to take off all my clothes because I'm sweating my ass off. And then I pull up StreamYard and I'm ready to go. And then I'm like, you don't have any pants on. So it's another feature of being like the single bachelor daddy living that life. But hey, he's a hip hop kid who grows flowers. I love that too. You know what I mean? Like motherfuckers think they have you all squared up. They think they can pigeonhole you. They could squirrel you away. And this applies to all of us. They think they could square you away into a little box of their own understanding. And they're like, oh, Thothschild, that fucking asshole, that cracker ass wannabe fucking black dude hip hop fucking, cracker ass motherfucker. That punk motherfucker uses big words. That motherfucker's just a walking thesaurus. Fuck him. And they think they got you all figured out. And then they're like, wait, this motherfucker's an organic gardener who grows his own flowers. Yeah. And picks them for himself. Interesting. We have a really kind of exciting show today on the Mind Spray. I told you guys I was going to go to features, and this is yet another feature. We have Serendipitous Synchronicities, which is a feature. And then we have my First Movers interview series, right? That's with the original gangsters, the DeFi. And thank you again, Kinetics, for being the first interviewee in that series. Well, today I'm really proud to introduce the third feature in the series. I believe there's about 9 or 10. And this one is called The Wrath of the Math. Now, Wales is coming for something like that, and he will show up a little later. But guys, it's my real pleasure today to introduce a guy who's always he's been kind to me, and I could definitely qualify him as one of my, first half dozen or so Hexagon OG friends, the original gangsters of DeFi, the first movers in Hexaco. Some of you may know him, although he does have a reputation for laying kind of low, family man. His yes means yes. His no means no. He's always been a straight shooter. And guys, his information may benefit you today because he's also one hell of a blockchain detective. He just started a new site called hexfire.io. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Crispy Man. Crispy.
What's up there, buddy?
How you doing?
Good. What an introduction.
Oh, well, man, it's like, how far have we come? What a long way, right? Because it's been over a year since I met you. And you have this way, I have this way anyway of thinking, well, it's going to be this way forever. Like, I thought I'll always be in this group that I was in, and it'll always be like this, always be like that. And here we are over a year later, and almost everything's different. And Pulse Chain isn't a live network yet.
Yeah, no kidding. We're waiting for that.
Well, thanks for coming on, man.
Here.
You got some fans up here in the chat, I can see.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, man. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm excited to hear the information that you have to lay on us, dude. I've always really appreciated your insight. And to be honest with you, you're usually thinking, in a wheelhouse that my mind doesn't organically occupy. So it's always helpful for me to hear what you have to say.
Sure. Me too, man. Me too. Like, I'm always on the outside edges of stuff,
Yeah, I noticed you move a little quietly.
Yeah. So yeah, it's good. But I wanted the opportunity to talk with you. We've been trying to put this together for the last week or so.
Yes.
Mostly just to give people who are interested the opportunity to get out to the site. It's hard to get stuff publicized, and get people to a destination. And I think because I post it up a bunch of times or put it on Twitter, everybody's going to see it. But reality is there's way too much out there to
Yeah,
consume.
yeah, we have a lot now. We do have a lot. Well, hey, you know what? I really naturally could only think of one of my compadres, who I would want to bring into a conversation like this, because so much of it is not only the blockchain detective work that I alluded to in your introduction, but it's the wrath of the math, which is the name of this feature. So I think you might possibly, Crispy, have heard of this guy who I'm about to bring in here. Wales only one. Welcome, sir.
What's going on, guys? How you guys
Hey,
doing?
thanks for coming.
What's going on, man? What's going on?
You guys ever heard of one another?
Nah, I'm not quite familiar with Crispy. I think he's brand new.
Yeah.
Just like me, right?
Yeah. I tried to wear my Vegas hat, but man, my camera keeps focusing on the hat, so I had to take it off.
Well, no wonder.
How you doing, man? How you doing?
Good, Wells, you?
Doing well, man. No complaints.
Yeah. Well, I'm keeping up with your streams, the things you guys are talking about and following.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, bro. It's crazy.
There is.
Yeah,
We're living in a wild time.
I could literally stream 24/7. I could. Like, that's how crazy it's been for the past few months. It's been that crazy, but that's also why you gotta break it apart, But,
yeah, you got to remind yourself, take a little bit of break here and there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I had to back off for a couple weeks.
Yeah, it gets wild, man, because you get so into the information. I mean, Crispy could break it all down when he gives us how it went to just even build this site, because it's crazy. All the nuanced material in that site. It's a further level up in terms of understanding what you're doing in the Hex ecosystem. At least that's the way I view it. Because now you're talking about predicting T-share rates, and just looking at all these different aspects of the share system. That's pretty important, because this is what determines, how you're going to earn over time based on when you enter, because that share count is everything.
It is.
Yeah. And Crispy's just to the chat and to our crowd, guys, Crispy is providing some invaluable information here. So, lock in, take notes. You can benefit from this stuff. This man can help you maximize your gains. But once again, I got to say, this isn't, financial advice. We're edutainment. That's what we're doing here. So real quick, before we get into the meat and potatoes, I'm sorry, what's that, brother?
Don't forget, it's all math.
It's all the wrath of the math.
It is math.
It's all math. So
I'm
gonna give a quick math. That's your problem. There's no financial advice required there. You know what I'm saying? I'm
gonna give a quick shout to our chat here. It looks like Terrafin wins this week. ℍ𝕼𝕂 wins. Terrafin, welcome. Crypto Footsteps. Crypto Footsteps. How are you doing, sir? See if I can work this thing. There we go. Thothschild's here. Duck down. Hexagon Papa, thanks for coming through. Louis, what up, brother? Godfather J6 in the house. Legendary Tin Top. Here's one of my band hammers. The Bugs is here. We are live in this bitch, Terrafin. And then ex-Miami Dolphins quarterback, Dan Marino, once again has showed up. Thank you, Dan, for coming through.
All right, Dan.
Huge fan.
Huge fan.
Big fan.
Yeah, remember those bullets he used to toss back in the day?
Oh, man. He went to University of Pittsburgh back when I was really a big fan of them. I think that's the last time they ever won a national championship. Or ever will.
Probably, yeah. But I think that's accurate, yeah.
Finn Bear. Checking in from Scandinavia.
Pizza
we
Man.
Love our Finn Bear. Yep.
I love
Gotten. Thank you. I think he's alluding to the music. Thank you. One of my originals. Terrafin checking in on sound. Thanks. Hex on Air. How are you? Elliot, always got my back. Thank you. Existentialist. Existentialist is running Pulse Tube, if I'm believe I'm correct on that.
Yes,
right, Existentialist? Yes. Okay. Chris J. Hex. Cool. And a couple more here before we get into the meat and potatoes. I see Facing Reality is here. Elbow coughing. A little early for that. I stubbed my crypto. How you doing? Let's see what Finn has to say. I still have a mental note of how many T-shares I missed out on due to sacrifices.
I started
join the
thinking about
club.
that. Yeah, man.
Yeah, don't do that to yourself, because you know the fact of the matter is that you got to realize what pulse chain is and how many people missed it.
Oh my. Only 40 some thousand of us in that first
40
class,
something,
man.
42,000 wallets in that first class, and I think the Pulse XSAC was what 67,000 or something like that. Maybe
I thought it was more. That's wild.
Hold on, let me double check.
I thought it was exponentially more, but imagine. I don't know if he's going to do a token with the wallet, but it's can you imagine how many would be?
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy if he does do that.
You guys think that's a good question, Crispy Wales? Do you think, or have you heard anything? Is he going to do a token with this wallet?
Nah, but I think it's implied.
Yeah,
but I haven't heard anything per se.
I was surprised that that he said that they were so far along with him. Sounds like it's really moved. I'm just insinuating, right?
But, yeah, no, he said it. He said it. I mean, he said they were working on it, right? I remember hearing.
Yeah, I heard him in the Kitco interview in part 2. He said they are working on it.
That's not even where I heard it.
Yeah.
I've heard it before multiple times.
Yeah, which made me think it's real.
Right. Yeah, because he keeps mentioning it. I think he mentioned it with the young chick, Teen Crypto. I think he mentioned it with Wendy O.
That's zesty.
And I think he mentioned it with that weird guy that was acting like he wasn't a Bitcoin maxi, but he was.
Oh, no,
yeah, I can't say the name either. It's cool. But yeah, that got to
Mr. G.
Yeah. Lead. What was a sacrifice
for Pulse?
Wait, no. Yeah, for Pulse. What was it?
Existentialist is saying over 100K.
I'm just trying to confirm the PulseSac for Pulse X. I don't remember.
Well,
the site.
Here's a new face. Giant 3 saying 140.
I thought it was like 130,000. I found it. Let's see. We'll get a number, accurate number shortly.
Cockstein.
136,000 wallets. So close enough.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, a lot of wallets, man.
Yeah, that's 3x. That's 3x the first round. Basically, 136 divided by 42 equals 3.2.
So if we hold that trajectory and there is another token in the Richard Heart ecosystem, we can look forward to 300 and some thousand.
Probably, yeah. Probably something like that.
Actually, 420, huh?
Right, yeah. 400,000, Greg. Yeah, because if it keeps growing at the same rate, I mean, that would be logical. And there's a lot more people now that are aware of RH than ever before.
Yes, this is a fact.
So we probably could bust through 500,000 wallets for that one iteration of that product.
So, Mr. Crispy, ℍ𝕼𝕉.io. If you want to do any screen sharing, just let me know, or I can pull it up. And then what's going on with that, man? Can you tell us about ℍ𝕼𝕉.io?
ℍFire, it's on fire. Hey, yeah. For the people who don't know me, I know that you gave me a great introduction there, Ian. So I've been involved with Hex since the beginning. What's my involvement? I participated in chats, said lots of stupid shit, made lots of mistakes, learned about Hex, got in the beginning, and just I'm one of those guys a little bit more cautious, though. So very conservative, building over time, and I believe in letting winners run, and the more winning, the more running, and so we've been doing pretty good. Yeah, man. So I just kept in, and I've been participating in the community, and so that's my beginnings, right? so coming out of all that, right, we didn't have a lot of these tools in the beginning, man. We didn't even have Uniswap, right? So trying to figure out how the system really worked, you're really relying on a couple of resources. Now those resources have multiplied, right? Exponentially now. But in the beginning, we didn't have a lot of that, and so along the way, I start building my own stuff, my own
That's awesome.
spreadsheets and that
Yeah,
kind of
that's why
thing.
I sing the praises of a lot of you guys that we do call the OGs, the first movers. I also say, because some guys don't like OGs, but it's like you were trailblazers, because you guys figured a lot of this shit out along the way, like as you were going, and we take it for granted, you know. So I think you all deserve your shouts.
Well, I think everybody's got to go through that, though, right?
Yes.
I mean, they try to learn it. Now, Wales and I have met a couple times. We talk. I've talked a couple times in chats, right? So what the reason I bring that up is, so we're going to look at some information, some data, right? Some of the stuff is it's just going through and learning about how the system works. I'm not sure that it changes what you're going to do. What I mean by that is I spent probably 30, 40 hours working on the T-share rate modeling, and I proved the T-share rate goes up, right?
Okay.
It's so in the grand scheme of things, it goes up. Now there might be some practical, use, which we can show, right? For people, but in general, for people who watch this kind of stuff and look at the site, maybe it's too detailed for them. That's fine, You just need price, you need to know what's going on today, and then go on with your life. And then there are probably some other people who want to dig deeper and have questions. So I see a lot of the stuff that I've done. At first, it's things that I'm interested in, right? So that's why I got the stuff put together and pushed it out there because I'm interested in it. And then people could take it or leave it,
Yeah,
So that
man.
yeah.
Well, I
And
think
so
it's fascinating. Some of the things that you have shared with me over the past year and some, I'm just scratching my head like, well, I had no idea.
yeah, and we do talk about a lot of different things, right?
Mm.
So the name is kind of a funny name, right? Hexfire. I've had that domain for a long time, and I put some information up on it last year. But what that is this is as you know, man, I big family, I got 6 kids.
One of the only people I know who has more than Thothschild.
Yeah, I know. I bring it up because you were just talking about it. I have 6 kids, you know, uh, living pretty tight for a long time, and I discovered something called FIRE, which is financial independence, retire early. Just figured out I was doing all sorts of stuff wrong, you know, and so I started working on that, and this is prior to Hex, right? And what it basically is really minimizing how much you're spending, what your expenses are, in order to save like at some sort of extraordinary rate that eventually you become financially independent, right?
Yeah.
And now the core of that is passive income, right? And so how do you get income, and sometimes not so passive these days, right? Outside of crypto, even there, I mean, very, very high risks for a lot of stuff. I mean, and in that world, you're usually talking about trying to bank on 4% kind of APYs,
If you're lucky.
right? Right. And so then when you apply that to Hex, now this is very conservative. I'm not talking about moon boy shit, but very conservative stuff. You probably could retire if you put a plan together and you're using Hex. You probably could generate enough asset to retire 3 times earlier than the traditional market. And so that's the conflation. That's the bringing this information together, and why Hexfire is the name of the site. It's really being able to use Hex in that way to help you get to your whatever your financial goals are.
Yeah, it's definitely adding some flammables, I'd say, to your savings plan. It's got some combustion to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, so when you think about, like, there's one thing I used to harp on a lot in the early days when I started streaming about X, is how pliable the use case for it is. The product market fit for Hex is very varied, You know, it's hex itself is a variable, and it's hard for people to wrap their heads around that. You know, I think even RH doesn't understand how big of a deal hex is. I don't believe that he does. And I say that because he doesn't have the financial knowledge that I do, right? He doesn't know the depths of the financial markets. He knows what he knows, and that's it, and that's fine. But I mean, what hex is gonna do to finance is gonna be pretty profound because you can outline what your cash flows are gonna be.
Yes.
Period. I mean, that's paramount. That shit is paramount. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, even if the price were to
it-
hold
yeah,
trajectory, your
but
projections are still impressive as
here's the
hell.
thing. Here's a perfect thing about it, because that's a great point. Here's the thing. You can do a literal scenario, a decision tree, where you have things playing out 95% up, 95% down.
Yes. Yes.
Like if you really want to be all dramatic and all that, you can do that. That's no problem if your time frame is so short, right? Because best case is you break even over a long period of time, but you're still generating yield. So you're not just breaking even. Now, if you're like a plumber or like a tradesman that has a trade that has an off season, you know, you can do annual stakes during that period of time to offset that down period, right? Like there's so many things you can do with hex. And I really think people forget that.
Yep.
Would you say it's also fair, both of you gentlemen, would you also say it's fair to say that as time goes on, you know, and we establish new highs and new floors, you can somewhat reliably establish that you're going to have a low point or a low threshold you're not going to cross beyond. So, you know, in your projections as we set these new all-time highs,
Mm,
you
that's a
know,
fair
you could
point.
say, oh, we're probably not ever going to go this
Has
low
Bitcoin
again.
done that? No. So that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Because hex is as good, if not better, right? I think
Hell
that's a fair
yeah.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a very fair point. I mean, Crispy's freaking conservative. I mean, you probably could speak to this better than me. I'm not as conservative as you. I mean, I think if you look at the Bitcoin chart, never have you ever seen it, you know, break through a previous local low, right? And that's like a low from a period of time previous to the present period of time. And you know, right now we're talking about like the Rona low, and then before that, what was that, 2015 or something like that? Hold on, let me pull this crap up. I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the things I got a little feedback on when we kicked off
18.
and launched Hex is, you know, I didn't plan for price appreciation at all. So,
There you go.
so my idea was at
It
the
was.
time was, hey, at whatever the lowest price is, we were guessing what launch price would be, but whatever, pick a number, and at whatever low number, just plan for that number. This is just my approach, and I built what I called a hex flow. All right, and I didn't complete it, but it was a good idea, and I got a lot of it done. But the idea being, you know, get in early enough and put enough in to maintain a certain flow over 15 years. At that time, it was 10, but then I became awoke to the idea that I should be doing 15-year stakes.
Right.
But
Actually, looking for your site here, Mr. Crispy. I'm just going to show it to the folks. Oh, it's beautiful.
I could drive if you want, or you could drive. Don't matter.
Yeah, well, if you have specific things that you want to share with our audience, you're more than welcome to. But I'm just briefly going to
Yeah, bring it up.
show this to everybody.
I threw something up there today that's pretty cool.
Here we go, guys. This is Crispy's new site, hexfire.io. I mean, this is staking science.
Basically, yeah. So much data on this site.
Yeah, I'm trying to curate it a little bit. So I am looking for feedback. You know, I got a lot of different people say, oh, it's too busy, too much information. And there's some like it doesn't have enough information. So what I'm doing is I'm building things. As I build them, I try to put them somewhere on the site that makes sense and try to curate it around. So I added on the top there, you can see some of the local or local, but the most recent data type information about things most of us try to track. Combination of closed date information from yesterday and the current T-share rate, penalties, that type of stuff. So you see this thing gets updated probably 4 times a day.
Okay.
All right, so it's on a schedule. Now front and present is that T-share rate graph. And you can actually drill through that if you want to get into it with a little information icon, but it's also available on a couple other pages.
Okay.
And so yeah, go ahead and click that.
Okay. View the table.
I can't believe the T-share rate is greater than 23,000 still. It's still boggling me. Mind-boggling.
Yeah, well, you know what's crazy? People have been coming out of the woodwork. I got about 2 or 3 people who have contacted me with different models. And dude, their models are like 3 times higher than my models. So when I say this is conservative, this is conservative.
Can I ask you a question? When you go out 15 years, what's your T-share rate? When I did mine, and this was like March 2021 when I did it. So it was a long time ago. I got 133,000 something per T-share, hex per T-share.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yes. Right. So Ian, if you go down on that left one by year, and just kind of scroll down where you can sort it, you'll see the different years that are there.
Okay. 2037 there at the bottom, folks.
Yeah. So we're getting so that shows about 130. But staking behavior is going to change.
Yeah.
And people are going to keep staking, and that's likely going to go up. The reason these numbers are the way they are is I'm using 30-day moving average for daily payouts to project future yield. So this does not take into account that yield is going to go up or may go up, right?
So let me tell you what I did, just so you can know what I did. What I did was I took the actual change in the T-share rate, an average of that. That's what I actually took, and I took out the big payday move, and I just took the average of all the other ones surrounding that. So
right.
It looks like some good math on both sides. It's taking us to the same endpoint, which is
that's interesting. You guys use different tactics to arrive at a similar place.
Exactly. That's the beautiful. But this is what's great about math, right? Because if you're cooking a piece of meat, there's a billion different ways to cook it, but you're still cooking it. And math is the same thing. This is why it's so important for there to be a meeting of the minds, even with this kind of stuff. Because
it's verification.
Exactly. Precisely. It's confirmation that you're on the right path.
And it's so elegant in its simplicity.
Correct.
So one of the guys contacted me, a guy by the name of Hopper, out on Twitter, and he has a model that he put together. It's pretty cool, but his model is based on day, with a rate change, and it's kind of an exponential. Type of a curve. So at some point I'll throw a button on here that I can, select Hopper's model or select your model or somebody else's model and just change it, based on that, so we can see the different plots, because they'll be different.
I could redo it.
So for you, for the people listening, just so you understand, what we've got on the screen are estimated share rates for the future. We know they're wrong. Right. We know that I could probably bet people, I said this the other day at a stream, right? 99% chance that on the daily that I have listed, that's going to be the number, because the yield's already locked in. And the way to envision this is we have all these stakes, hundreds of stakes every day that are ending. And they're all like fish swimming upstream. Only some of them make it. So if somebody doesn't come back and end their stake, theirs will never change the share rate. But every stake that gets ended goes through the calculation for new share rate, and the new share rate calculation includes the yield that you earned on that stake. And if the calculation's higher than what the current share rate is, it changes. It changes. And that's how it goes up. It'll ratchet up. And so that's really the basics of how it works, right?
Right.
And so I'm just listing out. I just did the calc for all 300,000 or so stakes, and threw up the maximum for each day as the daily new share rate. And so that's how that's picked up.
Okay.
Nice. That's actually a pretty good methodology. This is very refined.
Yeah. Yeah. So should we go through and check out a couple more pages here, Crispy?
Well, while we're on this, how about I sidetrack you since we're on
Okay,
this
sure.
subject, right? So because we'll be able to close this off. Go ahead and click Advanced Analytics.
Advanced
on the left
analytics. I got it.
side there. Yeah. All right. So
Wow.
So if you go over to where did I want to send you on this? You know what? Yeah, go ahead and go back to charts and tables on the bottom right there. Oh, there. Let's go back to the estimated share rate. So that's going to be a larger screen. All right. So practical use for this, right? I'm only showing 2 years on this. I do have the numbers for the 15 years, but it looks like a straight line, right? Because these little steps are so small. Now, what I draw your attention to is you see how right now in the red we're angled upwards. We've got a slope up.
Yep.
So that upward slope is because we have a big stake that came out. I say big, a big change that came through in May, which is behind us, and we have a big change that'll come in September. In the meantime, people are staking short. There's about 3 billion hex being staked 45 days or less.
Nice.
And because those are being staked like that, they're continuously updating the T-share rate, and it makes it look, and it actually changes it so there's a slope. So when we get past September, I don't expect to see T-share rate to be flat. It's just I don't have a stake yet that's earned enough yield. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense because people ask me all the time, you know, what's the impact of short stakes on the T-share rate? And I say it's really no, right? Because you're not going to get 700, 200, 100 hex pop from a short stake. It's just going to ratchet it up. What I would say is, you know, an average amount, right? If that, because it still has to actually recoup a significant amount of yield in hex terms during that 45-day or less period. Now, if there isn't some major ES action going on where those coins are actually ending up in that individual's wallet, right? They're just not going to impact the share rate.
Yeah.
And it's important that people understand that.
Yeah. I guess we're going to have, like, if we were to hit some unforeseen super spike in virality, you know, be a lot of
things.
Oh, this could go wild, man.
Be a lot of adjustments.
That'll change things. I mean, it's only 99,000 stakers, 100,000 stakers.
I find that hard to believe sometimes.
Well, yeah. You got to remember it's even less because it's going to be people with multiple wallets.
Are we really the smartest motherfuckers on planet Earth?
Yeah.
We are. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, bro. You got to be. I mean, look at what it looks like when you're driving in the street.
So we know from a staking perspective, right? The best time to stake is now, right? Not later.
Right.
So no matter what, it's always now. And we'd argue, you know, like if you had all your bag and you're ready to go stake your entire ladder, then you should do it now. Don't wait, just do it now. Now, I guess the argument would be price, but we're at a pretty good price, right, to be doing it now. If you were going to go put new money in and stake. All right, so that would be a approach, but most of us weren't in a situation to be able to do everything at one time. So the practical use of this, and this is why I built this one, is I had some hex I was going to stake right before that stupid 700 increase in May, and it came out of nowhere. I didn't know it was going to happen. I hadn't known, you know, there's no way for me to figure it out, and I ended up staking afterwards. So practical use for this is to know there's probably going to be big steps. These are the big steps that look like they're on the horizon. If you're going to stake at the end of August, Stake. Don't wait until after the 10th of September, because you're going to pay 3% more for the same yield. You know, and so then if you go a little bit further with that, with these types of models, if you're doing ladders, you probably want to schedule one. This is something that came out in one of our discussions too. You probably want to look and see if you can find a pattern where you can end your stake before the step, so that you can turn around and do it. Now I'll have to release longer time period for people to be able to do that multi-year. But in this way, if you can at least foreshadow when some of those big steps will take, maybe you can get a little bit extra percentage by staking, so that you can restake before the big steps.
Okay.
So that's kind of like practical stuff, right?
I'm digging it, man. There's some things that I'm noticing on here that I could find on Hex Vision, but I would have to dig a little bit more. And you've presented it like right here for me.
Yeah, I use Hex Vision all the time, man.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite sites. Yeah, it's just a different way of visioning some of the stuff. Do me a favor, do a refresh on the entire page
Okay.
for me, and then go back to analytics. So I'll show you something that I think should show up. We go back to the advanced analytics. So hopefully it shows up for you, because it shows up for me. All right, this changed a little bit. I had done an update before the show, and just to kind of like, so Wales, we've talked about this before, and I hear people talk about it all the time. There's big misconceptions about how the share rate changed, and it doesn't really matter what the actual fact is at the end of the day, because T-share rate goes up. But
Right.
if you're super interested in knowing, these are the last 10 stakes that increase the share rate.
Wow. There you go, folks. Look at that.
And so when you come in here and you look, you go, well, no, it's only the long ones. Well, 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. That ain't true. It's only the big ones, 3,500 hex. I guess that ain't true. So it's really individual to the stake and when the stake started and what kind of share rate it got, as to whether it's pushing, and then the yield it gets, as to whether or not that gets pushed up.
Jeez, oh man, I mean, this looks like one of mine here.
Yeah, I get a couple of those too.
Although I
So-
never have gone for 24 hours, I can say that.
Well, and what's happening here is, of course, it's hard to know what the motivations are for people to do this stuff. Some of these little ones like that, they're tests. Maybe somebody's testing the system.
Mhm.
They paid more for that stake to be staked and unstaked, than the 5 hex they got.
Then they
Right?
yielded, right?
And so now there are other people that are doing this deliberately to drive that rate up.
Right.
They're doing that deliberately to drive the rate up. And so again, a little trick of the trade would be, look beyond 45 days for stakes, even if you're doing short ladders, because we've got that huge amount. So you'll earn much more, relatively more APY by being out greater than 45 days. Maybe
Yes.
start shifting to 60 days. Now, I don't recommend doing that at all. I recommend that, but this requires you to be able to put your ladder together. I recommend that you go out as long as you can and roll them. But life is life, right?
Yeah, when I've talked to some of my own onboards about the dynamic of this thing, I've shared with them the observation that I made, and it's a sentiment that I myself express. It's like you talk to people and they're like, yeah, I staked that for 6 months or a year, even 2 years even, and it ended. And to the man or woman, we all say, we shake our heads and we say, God damn it, I should have just staked that for longer. That's what everybody ends up saying.
Yeah.
Yep. But at least that was 6 months and not 30 days. So if you don't have some sort of reason, why you need to have, and listen, there are valid reasons, right? Some people need to have availability of their hex. Okay. Some people are playing.
4 kids will do that, I
Yeah.
heard.
Some people playing games with it. But if you don't have a reason for being short, and maybe you're testing the system yourself to see that it works, but after you get confident, 30 days, screw it, man, go out. You go out further because otherwise you're giving up. It seems like it's very little, but it ends up being a lot at the, after years. Um, because the short stakers are losing about 10%. They're losing about as much yield power over time as they're getting in ROI.
Yeah, and
You know,
like Wales is apt to remind me and all of us all the time, there's going to be a day that eventually comes that this acquisition of a T share is going to go the way of a dodo bird or a dinosaur. We're going to look
yep,
back
yep.
on this and be like, oh my God, what was attainable back then?
Yep.
I mean, a lot of people speak in terms of B shares, like pretty much universally already. So,
All right. Hey, so I sidetracked you.
that's all right.
You want to do that now? That kind of close. I think that we'll probably talk about this again, but it kind of closes off what we were talking about with the share rate changes. Share rate goes up, proven mathematically, and maybe you can get a little bit of intelligence.
Yeah.
Take some
Now, this is
action.
something I find interesting up here that I'm pointing at right now, Crispy. I've noticed on Hex Vision, and you're kind of looking at it here on hexfire.io. Best times to stake, best times to end stake. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, go ahead and click in. This needs to be fleshed out a little bit more. But what I was showing here, and what the guys actually, I don't know if they're in the chat right now, but they were interested in knowing when the best time would be to stake based on the amount of hex that's coming out in that time period. And so this is a monthly year-month chart on the left and a day chart on the right. It just shows how much hex is coming out on each of those days.
Now, I need to point out to everybody, you have to remember the fluid dynamics of this system. You can make a decision on any given day, and germane to the actions of other people in the ecosystem, this could change. But when you make your decision, this information is available to you.
Yeah, yeah. And on the day one, you see where it says 10 billion out in 36. Click right above that where it says estimated payout, and go ahead.
Where are we at? Over here.
Yeah. Click up there and just sort it by estimated payout. You just click on it.
Oh, I see what you're doing here. Okay,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, this is training video.
There you go, folks.
So click on it the other way, and it'll go up, and it'll show us going up.
Okay. Oh wow.
All right. Now, if you click off of that, it'll go back to normal color.
Like there.
Well,
Oops.
you sorted by that one.
Okay. How about
but yeah. Just click over on the purple or something.
Okay.
Or just reselect that bottom total or something like that. Yeah, I didn't make this software, so
That's all right.
I have to go with
even a monkey like
does.
me can figure it out eventually.
So surprisingly, there are some days where there's less than a million hex coming out. And
Yeah.
so if you were planning to stake in order to scrape yield, you probably want to pick times that would be a good time to do it.
Right.
And so you're looking for ways to front run what might happen. Now, people are going to come in after you and stake on those same days. And so they might fill in above that. But if think of it as a game, Wales gets in before me, right? And yeah, he's disappointed maybe that now a whole bunch more hex is going to be staked on the same day you stake. But in the game of hex, he's getting better and higher APY than I am. So relative to investment, he's got more strength.
Right.
Because he was in earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that he's going to maybe not at a price level, but overall value. He's going to come out with more value than I have underneath the same conditions. I think that's one way to describe it. A couple things for people, because they're on all these pages. Those are filters up at the top, so you can go filter by year or by address, and you can just you can click an address, you can search for an address, you can hit control and hit multiple addresses, and it'll filter all this information out, so you can actually see your own bags if you want to in here. Go put your own addresses in and see what it is.
That was going to be my next question. You have an option here to copy and paste an address.
Yeah, just click one of them. It's fine.
Okay.
Just click one and it'll just show. All right. So now you can see what that address has for their ladder. And again, if you click off into the purple, it'll clear that filter. And you can see what you just picked one at random. We don't know who that is, but this is what theirs looks like.
Cool.
So this is a little bit detailed. Now I don't have a direct line to this. So let's go back to charts and tables because this is a good segue to go look at the monthly estimated monthly payouts.
New. Okay. Estimated monthly payouts.
Yeah. Now this looks people get upset when they see this because oh my God, look at all that hex. But here's the thing is it looks like over the next 15 years, the average inflation rate is probably something around 2%. And that's something that Wales you've talked about is what the actual inflation rate is. And so even though we got those big years, we got to be concerned with them in 2029 and 30. I do think a lot of this will get filled in, but overall we're still at a 2%. So again, you could do the same type of filtering on this if you wanted to. You don't have to, but I mean, and it'll just show you your stakes if you want, or any other address. The other thing you can do is go drill in. So pick 2029.
Okay.
And you can just right click on it, and it'll say drill down. And it'll break down the year.
Oh, looky there. Okay.
All right. So a lot of us might be saying, damn, I was going to put some hex out into 29.
Damn, everybody gets ready for the holidays, don't they?
Well, what would happen with this is 10 years out from launch, right? We launched in December. A lot of us had the bright idea to front run December because we thought people would just do yearly, but most of us stopped front running around October. All right, that's my interpretation of what we're seeing. So if I was going to be staking for 39, I'm probably not staking to come out in October, November, December. I probably want to come out before that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty wild because if you go down one more level and you right click on October, you'll see it's really weird, right? Which shows it was an event that took place.
Oh wow! Check you out, man.
Like
excellent.
Look, like at that little baby date out there on the 27th.
Yeah.
Which still probably not a good time to do it, but look how people just haven't staked, before the 7th. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
So at any point you can come in here and go through this. You hover over the bars, it'll give you some information about each of the bars. And in the orange is the hex that was staked, and above it is the hex that's expected to be the interest.
Yeah. Look at this, everybody. I mean, you could really go in hexfire.io and spend a little bit of time poking around. Learn some things.
All right. So from here, you can go and drill right back out if you like. You can hover and
okay.
You can do the up, or you can go on. Yeah, that'll work fine.
Okay.
All right. So this should give you a way to look and see, what's happening, within the system.
Very cool, Crispy, my man.
All right. So go to hex staking data. I know we're bouncing around a lot. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Get more.
Mexicans think on their feet, man. They think on their feet. They're ready for this.
So you can, if you go to the estimated monthly payouts, this is the same information we were looking at, except that it's just in a table form.
Yes,
and
right.
you can do look at that again. So again, go just pick some random address.
Random address. So we're going to go up here. I'm going to do the drop down. I'm going to go to the bottom one and click it. And here we go.
And so you see this guy's got, one stake that's out there. And so you could do this repetitively, find one that's got a ladder, and you can see what their ladder looks like,
Uh-huh. Well.
And and it's pretty cool for yourself if you're looking to see. Now, I add the price component in here. It'll
I
be
was going to just
even
ask that
more.
estimated, ROI. Is that a flat line on the price, or what are we talking about?
No, that's ROI on that stake based on hex.
Okay.
Based on hex. And so at some point I'll need a pricing model, and we've been thinking about that to
Yeah,
try to
and you could do
project
different
price.
tiers. You could do, crispy level, whales level, my level, and then maniac level, I guess, or something.
So I think the functional use again for this for people is to be able to come in and maybe put their addresses in. The system doesn't keep track of what you're filtering or anything. So you put your addresses in and you can go see all of your stakes and see what your flow is going to be. Maybe do some planning around that. Like I
Yeah.
try to favor, if I'm doing monthly stakes, I favor trying to have X amount per month come out.
And I
That's
hope
kind of
you heard that, everybody. Crispy, verified. The site is not tracking or logging addresses, matching them with IPs or anything like that. You're safe to do this.
so let's go back one more step. You can go back over to just clear your filter. That's good. Just clear your filter.
Okay, that's an eraser.
Yep. You got it, man. You got it. Now,
Well,
the
you
other,
think I was, technically adroit here, the way that I'm cruising around this thing.
yep. So the other thing I'd throw at you is we're going to be here a long time. I'm going to be around for 15 years, right? Longer,
15 years.
maybe 30 years, right? So as we're going into this system, the other thing I'd say to people is in your planning, this is one thing I think anyways, consider what your plans are for 29 and 30, and at least in terms of hex and dry powder. Because I would imagine, as we saw in the chart, that's going to be a great distribution point for hex. And particularly if you're planning to put new money in, and I know it's a long time out, so it's kind of like funny we're talking about it, but if I'm going to be thinking about buying hex in the future, way out, I would definitely be looking to buy hex in 29 and 30. Because there's going to be a ton on the market, which means that the value will be down, right? Now, I wouldn't sit back and wait until then to get in. I'm just saying that there's probably going to be a redistribution event.
Right. Okay.
And you can see that based on just the sheer numbers that are coming out.
Well, in line with that, Crispy, let's remember that we had a huge pump in 2020 into 21, and that was the only other period where we had a tremendous amount of inflation in the system also, which was right after Big Payday.
Yeah.
So works both ways, basically, is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, it could be that way. That's why I say don't wait.
It works
till
both
then.
ways. It works both ways. First, the system gets shocked with inflation, then the system gets pumped because of the inflation, because all those coins get absorbed, right? They don't stay on the market because people buy that hex to earn that yield. That's the catch here. That's the catch 22 to hex. Otherwise, it's like every other coin. So that's why I'm saying, even though you got tons of coins coming out, those coins are going to be bought. They're not just going to sit on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point. Like, that's a point in time to take action. Just like you said.
Hey, Crispy, I gotta take a 2-minute break. Do you want to either take control, or do you just want me to take it to a screen that you guys can have 2 or 3 minutes with?
Whichever is easier for you, man.
Tell me what you want me to bring up, and I'll.
Yeah, why don't we go to the open stakes panel?
Where would I find open stake?
So go to hex staking data.
Gotcha.
And there'll be an open stakes
right
panel.
here.
Yeah, go ahead and open that guy up.
Copy that.
And we can kind of talk to that for a minute.
Okay.
For anybody looking to get on the site, I forwarded the site because I'm using this Power BI, and haven't gotten around to figuring out how to build a good website on my own. So there's hexfire.io, and also ℍ𝕼𝕇𝕐. And I've had great success, even though I bought the certificate for ℍ𝕼fire.io. I've had great success with just using the HTTP link. And it seems once the computer figures it out, it does it automatically.
Yep. Takes a little time
So,
sometimes.
yeah, the DNS, I screwed up one day, man, because I changed the DNS and 3 times in one day. And yeah. Then all of a sudden it's all over the place.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know?
And you don't know when it's gonna like set. You know, it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah. So I've got alternate pathways in. And
Nice.
worst case for somebody, you can actually at the moment grab the this URL, just put it in your computer yourself, and it'll work fine. All right, so I get lots of comments on this one, Wales, and folks listening. So this is OpenStakes not late. So I'm trying not to confuse people too much because there's way lots of information and filters we could be putting on all this stuff. So in this particular one, again, you can use the dates up top as well as the filters to be able to pick and choose what you see and then sort it on screen. And I built this to mimic what hex.com shows, right? So you give you kind of an idea of what your stake looks like and how it's built. Now I really want to open it up so we can do everybody can do whatever they want with it. But again, I want to make sure that the information's good before I do that.
For sure, that's critical.
Yeah, well, you know what ends up happening, and we see this all the time with data. It's great, but you don't want people to make decisions on things and end up being erroneous.
Correct.
And so like I don't have to lock everything down to this level. I could make it so you can just pick and choose what you're going to filter on, but you may not understand the background data and how it all came together. So you might unfilter or filter something out that's required.
Right.
Let's see if we can put this out here. I'm going to throw a couple sites in the chat.
Now I'll tell you what. When I look at this site and all the information that's contained in it, it's hard for me to say that you got to get rid of any of it. I say at most maybe reorganize it, but I don't feel like it's too out of whack. But all the data is kind of necessary if you're trying to understand what's going on within the system. No, I think that's the case. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I mean. So this is my work, right? So it's kind of like a mind dump onto a site of different things that are out there. And then just grabbing that information.
Right.
Let's see what happens when I go to share on this. Maybe we'll do it that way. All right, you guys let me know if you saw the screen change. I might need approval from Ian to actually do it.
The screen has not changed on the
Yeah. Yep. So what do we have for, let's see, let's go to chat and see. I probably picked a bad time to just go sit on this one here. You guys get that resolved, being able to get there. I see a couple people said they were able to get in. A couple of people were not. So Wales, is there what comes to mind to you about things we might be missing that we might want to dig into? I don't mean my site. I mean just in general, like information we don't have. Mhm. You might be on mute if you're answering.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on mute. Um, what I like to talk about is what I would like to be able to like show in some graphical form, but I think it would require calc or something to do it, integration or something. It's just the risk, just how you eliminate the risk, right? Like you really disperse the risk when you stake, because what's happening is you're literally removing any potential downside action that you might take, or any action that you might take that will cause a downside impact to your portfolio because you're reacting to something in the short term. And we see this all the time in Hex, all the time, because nobody that is staked is out here. Like the percentage of people that are staked reacting to the market is negligible relative to the amount of people that are staked, right? Like it's less than 1%. So if everybody was staked or using the protocol accordingly, right, then they would only be selling when their stake would end, not anytime, you know, they got a 50 billion X or so,
Yeah. Yeah.
or whatever the case is, right? So I think that if people understood the the amplification of P&L results by doing less, you know, that would definitely help people understand the power of staking more. I've been trying to think of ways to kind of highlight that, or show it graphically, but it's very difficult because it's like,
Yeah.
how do you show doing nothing? You can't, right? You got to just not do it, because the only other thing we can do is show what happens to other people's portfolios for them taking a bunch of action, right? And the way I like to explain it is, it's like, you know, do you like friction? Right? Friction typically is a restraint on a system, right? Very rarely is it an amplifier. And that's the way I like to think of it. But that's easy for me to wrap my head around. For most people, that's Chinese because they don't think in those terms and whatever words I just said, right? So they're not gonna, and it ain't for them not knowing the words. It's just the way I understand them is not gonna be the same, because
Right. Right.
I'm talking about like removing a negative element entirely, right? It's like say you're a kid. When you're a kid, you don't want to get your butt whooped when you're just having fun in your head, but when you're having fun, you're doing things you shouldn't be doing. So this is why you end up getting whooped. So what would happen if you were a kid and you were remove, right, those actions that would end up getting your butt whooped or causing you to get your butt whooped? Well, your life would be a whole lot more easier, wouldn't it? More enjoyable. Sure it would. But that's not what happens because that's not real life, right? So how do we combat that? It's by realizing that that action implies risk, and people don't realize that, right?
Yep. Yep.
Anytime you click that button trying to buy or sell something, you're adding risk to your P&L profile. And all we're trying to do collectively as a society that are engaging markets, whether they realize it or not, is compound their P&L. They're just trying to make more money, but they go about it in the wrong way. And you know, less is more, especially in this case. You know, and I was not the when I first started in this game, I was not the conservative type. I was a guy that wasn't trying to figure it out in the sense that I was being strategic about it. Now I'm completely 100,000% strategic. I take so little trades. I take concentrated trades. I make trades that I know are going to pay me only, at least in my head. And when I don't see something happening that I expect to see, I get out
Yeah.
and I regroup and try again if I re-see what I thought I was going to see. And you know, it's just this whole different thing versus what I thought it was going to be when I started doing it. You know, and it kind of reminds me of like when I joined the military or when I went to college or whatever, right? When you first start these things in your life, these different eras, like when I first got my first Wall Street job, like you think it's going to be one way and it's something completely different.
Yeah. Isn't it the truth?
Yeah, everything in life is
Yeah.
like that. And making
Mhm.
money is no different. People think that they're supposed to be doing backflips and shit to make money. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
that's
Yeah.
why that song exists.
Yeah.
Do nothing. You know, do nothing.
Yeah.
Sit on your
Well,
hands.
well, it's crazy that that's exactly how it works sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Because I see that a lot with our community, right? With people who are staked. I mean, what is there to do? There is. I mean, I know some guys want to go trade. Okay, but in terms of hex, there's other than staking and waiting, there ain't a whole lot more to do.
Right.
And so one of the things I think that I've tried to do for myself is really try to compartmentalize my degen kind of thinking and keep it
Important.
really minimized.
Yeah,
Because let me tell you, if I didn't, I might fall off a cliff, right? And go make a bunch of stupid trades that would not have been good.
I've had to do that on a lot of fronts in my life.
Yeah. But that's human life, right? That's
Yeah.
human. That's
Hey,
life.
Crispy, there, just so you know, observation. Couple folks in Europe said that they couldn't get the site up. I don't know if you've ever had that feedback before.
Yeah. Well, not specifically about Europe. I did put the two different links out there. So
Okay.
maybe it's been resolved. And then one of them said that they were able to get in. That's another one of these things with some of these. Well,
Thomas
Paris,
Turner
Austria,
reports, yeah.
and Greece. All right. Nice. Thanks, Thomas. So we'll keep working on it. All right. Let's we kind of killed this one, but for you, Ian, if you needed to, you want to again, you can come in here, put in your addresses, and look at your own stakes.
Okay.
I'll try to be a little bit more clear here with this. Let's go back to staking data, and then we'll just look at a couple other things here. So we talked about the two at the top, and so let's go to unclaimed.
Okay, now this is bringing up a topic that you and I talked about last year, and you were blowing my mind with the things that you were finding out on this front.
Oh yeah, those guys, man, made me so mad. Those guys.
I saw
the
one cat who's one of the guys that's a psychologist, the long-haired dude, Matty Allen. I seen him peripherally on one of his streams talking about there was a fella who was a big donator to one of his causes, and that he had done blockchain detective work and found out that this guy had forgotten about multiple stakes he had out on the market, just sitting there doing exactly this, bleeding.
Yeah. Well, apparently that is the case. That is the case. There's a lot of people, right? And so good accounting exists so that anybody can good account a stake that could have been ended. So it doesn't have to be the owner. And in this way, the system can be affected from outside. It doesn't mint the hex, but it does stop penalties from accruing.
Yeah, and he's got a nice description down here at the bottom, folks, for how that works. I was surprised the first time I learned that, but
yeah, and hey, listen, I would do it for you, right? If I thought you were in trouble or something.
Well, I should have called you when fucking gas was crushing me.
No, but I mean, if you were unavailable to do it, I'd do it for somebody that I know, for sure.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of other ones that are out there that have been good accounted, and we were over $1 billion in late penalties at one point, I think.
Wow.
But what's happened now is that there's a group of people, similar minded people, and they're actually going through and good accounting these stakes.
So they're like the angels of the hex system.
Yeah, in a way. I don't know. We're split. Like Patrick and I talk about this a couple times. We're split as to whether it's a good thing or a bad thing that they've done it. But let's get to that in a moment.
Okay.
So if you're like super interested, you want to know about stakes that are burning or bleeding out, you can come in here like any of the other screens. You can sort them. We have a big one up there, right? And so these are things I can't account for. I wish I knew the guy. It's a gift to the community. We ought to send him a thank you on the blockchain, right? Because what's happening is this is somebody who's been active in the contract.
Yeah.
I believe it's a sacrificer, somebody who's done done a lot of different stakes. They just didn't come back this time.
Look at all those T-shares just laying out in the sun, folks.
Right. And this guy just didn't come back. And this might be one of these cases where maybe somebody listening, this is you. Back in April of 2020, you decided you were going to stake 18 million. The estimated payout, total payout after yield is 37 million.
Finbear, you silly rabbit. Come on, man. Tighten up your game, dude.
It probably is. So at this point, what you can do, and I'm not going to go do this. I don't want anybody to go do it, but that person can come back and good account and stop the bleeding, or we could good account for them, stop the bleeding. But you can see there's 3 million bled already.
Yeah.
And some change. So you can sort this and do some stuff up at the top as well. And why don't you just go to 100%? You can either do percent burned and put it in that order, or change the filter.
So, oh wait, I hit it twice. Okay.
All right, now this is super interesting. Most of these stakes are not worth spending the gas on.
What the fuck? 2 hex staked?
Oh, dude, you don't know the half of it. Now, some of this is maybe from some of those games that were out there in the beginning. Some of it is people testing.
Right.
Some of it is it doesn't matter what it is or how it happened. But you got thousands that are like below.
Look at this.
10
I'm
hex.
scrolling, folks, and these are the 100% unclaimed burned. Wow.
Now what I would tell you too is, for all of us in the system,
yeah,
this is meat on the bone, man.
Meat on the fucking bone.
Because it doesn't make sense now to unstake one of these or to GA it. But you'll be able to come back in 10 years and GA it. And if hex is $100, now we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars per stake. Now, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But this actually doesn't at the moment have a huge impact. I mean, that big one might at some point.
Yeah.
On our system, because we have these 1-2 million hex penalties that come through. But if you look at the T-shares over there, it ain't that many T-shares, man.
It's just here and there. There's 1 or 2, but it's a lot of these dinky. A lot of these dinkies.
And so when I say it's not a lot, somebody please give me 25,000, 29,000 T-shares. I'll take them. But we swing in T-shares sometimes 10, 20,000 a day, right? So at worst, that's the kind of effect that's on the system. Now, these being in this state actually affect the system because hex is becoming more scarce because they exist. Because someone hasn't ended these or good accounted them, they're still taking up space. And so a little fraction of the yield is going off into Never Never Land. It's equivalent of burning hex. Okay.
Right.
All right. And I guess I kind of misled people because I conflated two issues here, but because these are the ones that actually haven't been good accounted yet. So they have 2 years until they're 100% burnt. And then it is meat on the bone for us to finally get it done later, and be able to good account it. So I guess the example there would be you got 1,000 hex that gets bled out. Nobody ever good accounted it. Nobody ever ended it. And at some point in the future, when the price makes sense, somebody does good account it, right? And that's how it comes back.
Okay.
Now, one of the big misunderstandings, easy to see how we got there, was that these penalties get paid daily. They do not get paid daily. They only get paid when somebody ends or good accounts the stake.
Okay.
Let's see. All right. Let's see. Any questions you guys have on this topic at all about the bleeding stakes?
Hey, just to let you boys know, I have about a half hour left in this stream, so
I can work with that.
Let's definitely get the juice in there.
Let's go over to good accounted. So you go back to hex staking and then good accounted, and then this will show you what's going on with that.
Okay, and These are the ones that have already been good accounted. They're no longer laying out in the sun. They're kind of just in the ether. They're safe for now.
Right. So there's a couple viewpoints on this. On the one hand,
I mean,
one hand,
a lot of days on some of these.
oh yeah. Some of them went pretty late before people ended.
There's a fair number of T-shares here as well. Wow.
It's a good amount of T-shares, but again, what is it? 1%, 2% of all the T-shares. So even some people look at this as a liability.
Mhm.
These guys, they might come back and dump on our head, right? Well, maybe. But I will point out that the big ones up at the top all appear to be part of the OA addresses. Yeah, and so that's fairly unlikely. But even so, look at the total amount of hex that possibly could be freed up. It's about 2 billion. We've got days where we have 2 billion in payouts.
Right.
So bump in the road. Now, the shares themselves don't matter anymore because they've already been good accounted. So the only possible damage is that. Now the reverse is, here's another 2 billion that got frozen. It's just like it's somewhere in somebody's wallet that they may have forgotten. And a lot of it's terrible. And I really, on a human basis, I would say that, hey, if you were a BTC claimer and you didn't know what the hell you were doing, I feel bad for you that you didn't come back and get your hex.
Mm-hmm.
But from a hex perspective, I'm like, well, if you didn't take the time to learn about the system, I guess it's on you.
Mm-hmm.
So you see many of the BTC free claimers, they didn't go as far, they didn't go past Richard's video that said go claim.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they went and claimed, and they needed to come back and stake. And so they didn't come back and stake. So this is like the mystery of the world. So they didn't come back and stake. So the system auto staked for them. Now we have access to see that there's stakes under their addresses, but if you go to their address, there's no stake. Somebody who did a free claim and did not create the stake themselves would have to go all the way back to their wallet and go to hex.com and go look. They would have to know to go look. But many of these, when you look at the on-chain, what's happened is they got their free hex. Maybe everybody doesn't know. When I claimed Bitcoin, my hex for Bitcoin, it automatically locked 90% up, kept it in the wallet and in the contract, kept track of it within the contract, and you had to stake it or it would auto stake for you.
Interesting.
10%. Yeah, 10% went into your wallet. So, sake of argument, you got 100,000 bonus, or excuse me, 100,000 claim. 90% would sit and wait for you to do something, and 10% hit your wallet. Maybe not most, a lot of these people did nothing with the 90%, took the 10% and sold it.
Yeah.
And then good wallet practice is to clear your wallet of all ETH afterwards. So you have all these 0 ETH wallets. Can you imagine how many addresses you probably used and never went back to? That's what's happened to these guys. I mean, they moved their coins out. I took care of that last year. They don't even know they had the 90%. We're talking about millions of dollars worth of hex. It was a little fact. Nothing really useful to us, because
right.
It increases scarcity if they never come back for any of that hex, and particularly if it burns.
Mm-hmm.
If they do come back, then it represents a potential liability. But again, the liability is low at the moment, as to what we're seeing. We looked at the other side. How much hex were they going to get? Maybe 1.5 billion. This is just a couple billion. Again, for us mere mortals, that's a lot of hex. Send it to me, please.
Yeah.
But in scheme of the system, not that big. All right, that kills, I think, everything that's under hex staking. So go over to analytics and see if we missed anything over there.
Okay. Experimental OA.
Oh yeah, that's the one that some people might want to see. Go ahead and click there. So ℍ𝕉 and Gunther both had worked on some data, and I'd worked with Gunther on some stuff to put a list together, this spreadsheet type of a list. So I stole their addresses. I haven't decomposed myself the addresses, but these are the addresses we think are OA related. And it kind of gives you, again, this idea of what's going on and what's happening with the OA. There's a lot of people want to know about them.
Wow. Man, you guys put in work, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of, yeah, I mean, I know Gunther put a lot of time into building the list.
I mean, look at this number of T shares. I'm just, my jaw's hitting the floor.
Yeah, but you know, it's kind of, it's important though, right? Because you know how people freak out when they look at these numbers, and you know, not just these numbers, but the daily numbers. How much of that is OA? You know, when you look at the monthly and the charts, how much of that is OA? We need to subtract that to do a different analysis, you know, to be able to get there. So if you're looking, like I haven't even done this yet, right? I bet you if you look, we got 2029. So put a date filter on this for 2029. Let's just say. Let's just do all of 2029.
Okay.
You can click on the July 22.
Okay.
And now you can use the down arrow, I think, or up arrow, one of those two.
Okay.
And let's just go January go January 1st. You actually had to have selected it.
Oh, shit. It didn't do it. Okay.
Software is hard, man. Go January and then click 1.
Oh, wait. January 20.
And click the 1. Yeah.
Click the 1?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. And then do the same thing, but do 12/31 at the
Gotcha.
Learning with Thothschild.
Oh, every day, always. Looky there.
All right. So I didn't, you know, the screen's a little small for me because you're doing the share this way. But that changed the numbers, right? And so this is that year, right, that we have all that hex coming out. It's 27 billion.
Yes, sir.
So 27 billion of that is OA.
Man.
Right. So
knowing what I know about the OA, you know, I'll sleep soundly.
Right. And so just to remind ourselves, let's keep that in mind. So you can always come back and look at this later, but let's go back over to go charts and tables. Let's look at that again and click the graphic for estimated monthly payouts. All right. So over half of what we would be worried about in 29 is OA.
Goddamn, you're right.
So are we really worried about it? You know, how much is it going to affect us? Because I see people make all sorts of scared decisions based on, you know, they're worried about the OA, they're worried about these numbers.
Well, there you go, guys. There's another application to hexfire.io is when you have technical fudders, you know, coming at you. This is something you can throw back.
Yeah, and to that end, I don't think I have any other charts or anything to show you on here. So let's go look at, let's go back to the hex staking just for a moment. I know I'm having you go all over. I'm trying to build out all the drill throughs on this stuff, but go to estimated monthly payouts. So the big FUD, this one makes me laugh every month. Now I don't even bother answering people in the chats anymore about it. Somebody's going to post in the next couple of days, oh my God, there's 6 billion hex coming out this month. Are you ready for the dump? Well, what I want to tell everybody is that, yeah, there's 6 billion hex coming out in August, but half of that is rolling month to month because now we can see the rolling stakes that are going through.
Okay.
Yeah, 6.4 is a good number. All right, I think that's it for this. Let me open up to you for questions, man. Kind of stick
Yeah,
with your
chat.
time.
Fire away if you guys have anything that you all would like to ask, Mr.
I got a
Crispy.
question. Maybe the chat be interested in hearing that too. What do you think would be a good strategy for people that are considering, gifting the community with a good accounting action on a big stake?
That's interesting, all right?
Because there's so many ways you could do it.
Yeah, I tend to favor let nature take its course. Like if I didn't know the person and they needed help or something, right? I just
Right.
let nature take its course and go out, let the full thing burn. However, I think there's merit, right, to good accounting it.
Right.
Because it does, and it's like this calculation, right, of the amount of extra yield you get because that stake isn't taking that place versus the risk that that person's going to dump it.
Right.
And so when we look at the OA, that's like the super pure example. The super pure example is we're assuming high likelihood the OA is not going to do something to damage the system, right? Okay.
Right.
So that being the case, is it really a bad thing to take their stakes out and they have liquid now? Because they're probably not going to do anything to hurt us with it, right?
Right.
But then I can look at stakes, like I mentioned to you, like if I looked at a stake that was out there, that was somebody like one of these BTC claimers, and they did not, they've never done anything with it ever. I think if it's a couple million, it's probably not that much of a risk. It's probably a good thing because it locks it up, and over time, right? What I mean by locks it up is it stops the penalties. Penalties come out, but it stops taking away our yield. So we get more yield, and over a long enough period of time, it'll just overwhelm that account, so that even if it is $1 million hex, it won't be worth anything to them in comparison to what we've earned. I guess it'd still be worth something to them, but in comparison, maybe it'd be different. But
you guys see ℍ𝕍𝕁 has a question here on the chat on screen.
So what's SADS?
SADS. Well,
Sudden adult death syndrome. If you got the death jab, basically.
Yeah, God, the rate I'm going, I might have to give one of you guys some of my information just in case I fucking drop dead.
Yeah, you go look at it. Yeah. So whales, yeah, that's kind of my answer. Now here's the thing: is I was really interested in doing this, right? And I've done some for some of the ones that have come out that were 100% bled, but somebody else is doing them all. So like here's the thing: it's decentralized. I guess it doesn't matter what I think because somebody's doing a lot of GA that aren't their own.
Yeah, there are a lot of GAs going on lately. That's for sure.
Yeah, as we just saw, there's not that many that are at 100% that seem to be worth it. So, worth doing it on.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess it'll be I guess the way I look at it, whoever decides to do it will be like, all right, it's either get these T-shares out the way or let it bleed. Right.
Yeah.
That's the way I think about it.
Yep.
Because I mean, if you free up the T-share space, and that's a bigger payout consistently overall for the future.
Hey, who's this schmuck's website you got here in resources there, Crispy?
I'll have you know, I contacted that individual in advance and got permission to look.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, it's I've started putting these together based on the sites that I go to mostly. But yeah, Thothschild, I mean, I don't know.
I think it's fantastic, man. I really think it's interesting. You've always captivated me with some of the stuff you passed on. You know that I don't, in the way my life is right now, I don't have the time to do this stuff. So I, thank you on behalf of the community, for those of us who don't, that you were able to do some of this. I feel
Oh, yeah, you're
smarter
welcome.
every time I talk to you.
Yeah, me too, man. Hey,
Yeah.
I will say this with you. Yeah, thanks for the prompts on that. Okay, a lot of this information we're looking at, you don't. So here's the thing for everybody who's working their ass off and busy, you don't need this information, right? All
Mhm.
you need to know is, hey, listen, I'm gonna put a plan together. I'm getting around to building some more information now, like more like planning for building things yourselves. You don't need to understand all this in order to make Hex work for you.
Oh, yeah, no, you don't. You
All
don't,
right.
but it
And,
fleshes it out.
but it's good to know it's out there.
Mhm.
Right. I mean, that you can go look like, so it's just not bullshit that people have been telling you the T-share rate goes up, and that, yeah, doing it now makes more sense than doing it later. Listen, if you're going to swallow the pill and
Mhm.
you're in, you better be in, right? And we just get in,
Yeah,
you know,
heart, mind, and soul. You gotta be in.
but anyways, so this information's out there. And then ultimately, maybe there's like 3 levels. There's that level of people, and well, there's probably the people who just don't give a shit, right?
Mm.
But that's
Well,
okay. This the well,
financial independence, retire early, folks.
yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. If we go up to the fire panel, I think, are we on that? Maybe.
Here we
Oh,
go.
it actually explains it.
Mhm.
So last year I was on with Maddie for a night, and I did a presentation.
That's the first time I ever saw you on stream. I do remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's no joke, man. You guys want to do what you want to do in your lives. This is no joke. This is salient information. I mean, I know for my part, I would love to spend some more time playing with my children, teaching them the things that I know, but daddy's been backpedaling their whole lives. So this is vital to me. I value it greatly.
No. Hey, we got a comment we should address in here.
Okay, let me.
Make sure, I'm not sure. Goshko, maybe that's the right pronunciation.
Okay.
Had said something about getting penalized. I'm not sure if we misspoke or whatever, but you're confusing active and inactive stakes. It is true that once something is inactive by being good accounted, it doesn't affect T-share payout once it's been good accounted. Now, when it is good accounted, of course, the penalties get paid, right? But if it is bleeding and no one has ended it and it has not been good accounted, it's still part of the share base. It's still part of the denominator. That's my understanding, confirmed 3-4 different ways. But
Yeah.
if I'd be happy to see that was different, but that's how it appears in the contract to me.
Yeah, and Goshko, thank you so much for being here and for participating. But I just have to tell you, if there's any potential that anybody here is confused, it would really only be me. Wales and Crispy are both experts in their fields, so
You're funny.
you can have confidence. The information that you're getting is good, and we apologize if we in any way
Dude,
misspoke.
you're putting me on a pedestal too high, man. I make
Oh,
mistakes all
fuck
the
that.
time.
Hey, man, I didn't say that you could hit a 95-mile-an-hour fastball or that you were handsome as Brad Pitt. I said you fucking understood hex staking.
Well,
All right.
wait. The last part's true. Um, yeah. I see some other side. I'm not sure what Selt was getting after here. Yeah, definitely more T-shares are better than less T-shares.
This is true.
I don't know much about the Amish or the
Oh,
Amish.
I was in
Yeah,
Harrisburg growing up. They were around there.
yeah, Tobarus. That's my understanding as well.
Yep.
Yeah, that it's part of the overall pool. But yeah, that's it, man. I got more stuff I'm building. People ask for stuff. I'm putting them together. So if somebody has something you need, let me know. I'll see if we can work something out. And I really want a little bit of a playground to do all sorts of slicing and dicing.
Well, there's the contact information, folks. I've never known this man not to get back to somebody who's reaching out. He's down with the education. He's looking out
Ooh,
for our system holistically. What's up?
You make me feel bad because I kind of like ghosted you a little bit this last week.
Well, I wouldn't have been able to. Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to get back anyhow.
I know. Well, no, I just one of my buddies is like, how come I sent you a text 3 days ago? It takes you 3 days to answer. So sometimes
was he a Hexagon? If he's not a Hexagon, fuck him.
It's right. He's an onboard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, my experience has always been it's a worthwhile undertaking to get a little bit of crispy man in your life. That's for sure. What are the cross chains features? Are there some?
Well, I imagine you might be thinking pulse chain at the moment in terms of this. Hey man, I went down such a rabbit hole understanding how to get data from the blockchain. I got
so now you're about to double it.
I get too much. Yeah, I mean, I got all sorts of stuff coming in. But my understanding is this. I'll give you a background 2 seconds. So I'm probably
no worries. Seconds. We got 15 minutes about.
So so there are different ways to get this blockchain data. One way is do Web3, and I don't know all the technical understanding of doing a Web3 website and what that means, other than you use that protocol to connect through something like Infura to get to information on the web, right? And because of that mechanism, usually going after very specific information, it's kind of clunky and slow. So you'll see some of the dApps, the more information you're trying to get, the slower they are. Another way to get the information is to run your own node. So then you can like build a database and do that. And I'm using a third way of doing it. I'm going after subgraph. So shout out to Kodiak and also the Hex Daily Stats guys helped me out a lot.
Wow.
So what subgraph is a dedicated way to define, and I don't even have all the right words for that, but to define a I haven't met Morales yet. I'm gonna have to sell. That's the thing. There's so many ways that you can do different things, and I'm trying to learn. But I went this path for the time being, and I got some good feedback to maybe use something like Morales or do some other connections. But I'm using subgraph to get the information, and that opened up like this whole world of you can go get this information. You can go do it yourself. Actually, well, everybody on this channel could if they wanted to. And then, so when we go to Pulse Chain, they already have a subgraph in the works. And all the subgraph means, and I'll say funky words that maybe I can't describe correctly, is you have API endpoints that you can call. So you can say, I want to see all the stakes, and they'll send you all the stakes. And so in terms of cross-chain for us, at some point, be able to run this on both of those chains.
Would it be possible to have an alert for expiring stakes? Garden, I'll tell you, I sure fucking wish ℍ𝕉 had that.
Yeah, I've done that a couple times. Yeah.
Oh, well, I just had something expire, and I asked Ghaffar, who's, a ℍ𝕉 moderator. I said, Ghaffar, I just had a stake end, and I forgot to do anything with my ℍ𝕉. And he said, oh, I'm so sorry, brother. I said, what the fuck do you mean you're so sorry? He said, yeah, your ass out of luck, bro. I was like, what? Yeah, wait a minute. Wait, Alex needs to seriously program some kind of goddamn alert. That really was like sad for me.
Yeah. Well, so for Garten asking that question about the alerts, we could do it. We can do an alert, man. Here's the problem, right?
I don't use Staker app, Thomas.
You're going even outside of that. We can do an alert that'll send it to you, but where do you want it sent?
Into my brain.
Well, here's the thing: is that some people don't want to put their addresses in or whatever. But if you did want to put your address in, there's all sorts of ways to get notifications about things.
I'd start an email address just for that.
Yeah, I suppose if there was enough interest in it, yeah, you get a Proton mail, get a nice email. That's what I have up here. It's separate from all your other stuff, and or even if you want to do like a Gmail. But you have to remember that you're going to be sending all those address information to that email address, right?
Well, don't use it for anything else.
Yeah. So one way to go is go look Another way to go is to sign up to an alert service to do it. And there might be a couple out there, but we could even build one. Sure.
That is attractive to somebody like me whose brain is spread so thin.
Well, I was looking at my Hadron today. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, damn, I wish, because I've ended a couple stakes by accident before claiming my
Before
Hadron.
minting, yeah.
Before mint.
Well,
And Thomas Turner mentioned Staker app. Yeah, this might be in there. I mean, I in the new version, I don't know.
are you a crab or a clam? Are you a little fishy? I have no clue, man. Yes, Kelt, you are correct. Informations. Hey guys, before I forget to mention it, Hexicans, me and the kids are trying to raise Daddy funds so that he can speak at PulseCon 2022. So donation addresses for Thothschild's mind spray for the channel are in my show description. We have a couple filthy, dirty Fiat options there, as well as an ERC20 address. Anybody who hasn't had an opportunity to help us out yet that would be down with seeing me be able to go to PulseCon in Vegas and miss work and not lose more hair, it would be greatly appreciated. I'm supposed to remember to say zesty every episode so that I appear younger and hipper than I am.
That's zesty.
Yeah. What else? The cake is layerish, the player Himalaya-ish. And I saw a name in a chat this week I thought was clever. I wanted to bring up Jehovah's Thickness.
Oh,
Jehovah's Thickness, wherever you are. Excellent freaking name.
Yeah, salute. Much respect. Much respect. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Hey, Crispy, man, of all the features that I'm doing, you may have heard one of them is called my First Movers interview series. I wanted to have you on the Wrath of the Math because of what we were talking about, but I'd very much appreciate if you came back to appear on my OG's interview series one of these days and tell us a little bit about yourself. I think a lot of people in our community like learning about our first movers, man. You're an inspiring group.
Yeah, sure, man. I'm happy to.
That's what's up.
Happy to participate.
Love it, man. Well, participate you do. What in the world? I missed a lot of text messages during this stream.
You're a popular guy.
No, they just wait till I'm fucking streaming and then they start texting me. I don't hear from anybody all week.
Usually how it works. So
Yeah.
I just ignore people while I'm streaming.
Just shut it off.
Yep.
Hey,
So
dude,
Hex,
I didn't even put my ringer on my phone ever.
Yeah,
Well,
I avoid it as often as possible.
that's probably wise. So guys, hexfire.io. Add it to your toolbox.
Check it out.
Yeah, we're getting new
Check
tools
it
all
out.
the time. I saw Hex Pink a couple weeks ago was another new one that's pretty cool.
That was zesty.
That was zesty.
Is that like a word kids are
I don't
using?
know,
This shit?
man.
It was Miss Teen Crypto that
You
introduced
said,
Richard.
you're so
That's-
zesty.
Nah,
Man,
ain't nobody
you're
using that,
zesty.
bro. No, ain't nobody using that.
He said, "Ain't nobody saying
Ain't
it."
nobody using that.
Somebody's saying it.
Yeah, not in the hood. Tell you that
Hey,
much.
yeah, nah, the girl's out on Long Island.
Oh, maybe
come
that's
on.
what they say out in the
Come
island.
on, come on, Wales. You're so zesty.
Bubble guy. God,
I'm so zesty.
man.
Let me
He's
guess.
liable in his neighborhood. They're liable to go up in your grill. You say some
Yeah.
shit like that.
Hell
You're
yeah.
zesty. What the
Zesty
fuck you
what?
say to me?
Hell yeah. Go fuck around, get jacked up.
Bubble Guy says, Goshko, it depends on the size of the expired stake and when it started. A huge big payday stake might release enough penalties and shrink the T-share pool to be worth GA.
For sure. I think any stake that's taking up major share space gotta go.
It's gotta go.
Just
Gotta go. I mean, that's taking up you. That's a no-brainer. It's not even a question, right?
Mm.
Ah, Thomas Turner, you're an angel.
I mean, imagine missing out on a quarter of a hex just because people want to stare at a damn GA for however long it takes, a year or whatever.
I gotta say that good accounting is has been appreciated by me. I mean, the divergence between what it cost me to good account and to actually properly end stake a matured stake, it wasn't that massive. But for me, a couple times it still was the difference, in my ladder. So thank you, Richard Hart, for including GA. We appreciate it.
Yep.
For sure. It's an ingenious tool.
Games within games, man.
Yeah, that's right. It's an ingenious tool.
My goodness. What'd you guys think of, before we get going, what'd you guys think of Kitco Part 2? Part 1 was so good, I immediately added it to my onboard deck as one of the links. Part 2 is interesting to me because Richard seems to have developed rapport now with the kid, interviewing him.
I haven't been able to watch Part 2 yet, but I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I think I felt like it was unscripted because he's surprised him a couple of times.
Yeah, well, when you're as Hexagon as we are, it's rare that you get to hear Richard say new things. You hear these interviews that they make a big deal out of, and you're like, I've heard him say all of this before. But I do understand he's going to a new audience, and he's gotta spread the gospel.
Yep, that's right. That's the hard part.
Hey, guess what? Crispy, maybe I should make you a member. Guess what tonight is, man? It's the first anniversary of my Telegram community, the powwow. I can't believe it. Yeah, I can't believe it. It's been a year. Against all odds.
That's nice, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff, bro.
I wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't have believed that my community still existed. I wouldn't have believed that I had streamed 18 episodes on my own channel. So life continues to provide a couple surprises. Yeah. Bubble guy. Yeah.
All right.
Caltex. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out to this one. A little different for us here at the Mind Spray. This was Wrath of the Math, my first episode of that particular feature. I'd like to thank very much my guest, our first mover OG, Crispy Man. Thank you for bringing hexfire.io to this great community, man.
It's a great site, man. For real. Thank you.
And
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Wales, don't forget your life responsibilities. Don't be spending 7 hours a day on hexfire.io this week. You got other shit you got to do.
Right? Yeah. I'm in here looking like I'm about to go have a blast. Because I looked through it before, but it's one thing when you got the man telling you what's going on,
Right. Fucking nerd.
Yeah, it's sad, man. It is sad.
No,
I could spend all day working on that stuff.
Yep.
Taking apart every little piece.
Mm-hmm.
What up, Bugs? Yeah, it is a dope site. You ain't never lied. Mm-hmm. Did we have Little Terrence today? Little Terrence make an appearance? I didn't see him.
Oh, boy.
A couple of our guys. Yeah, Eagle AI says he checked out the site last week, and it was awesome, Crispy.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Awesome, guys.
All right. Well, I'm going to get over to the powwow for our anniversary drinking voice chat, and I want to thank you, gentlemen, once again.
All right. Thank you, guys. Hey, Wells, thanks for the feedback. Thank you, Thothschild. Thank you for what you guys do.
Hey, man, definitely you as well.
Pleasure, man.
All right.
It's time.
Peace out.